have had some technical problem.
9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And we're live!
Hello, friends. What's up, tech geeks and the like?
We are joined with our app developer, Justin Brown, today, and he's going to tell us about the iPhone and Android. Don't forget, now available for Android as well, pan, tilt, zoom apps. These have been incredibly popular. I know a lot of you guys are using them, so today is your chance to ask Justin about the apps in person. Also, there's a bunch of new features in 1.1.2 we're going to be going over, and a lot of them came from the community, came from your comments, whether you were talking about them in the PTZOptics user group or directly with Justin, and now we have a chance to really delve into all that. Let's not forget about IBC, the International Broadcasting Conference in Amsterdam. We are there at Hall 8A11, and Patrick Kirby and Matthew Richards are there to meet with you guys for our European friends.
If you're there, make sure you're tagging us in social media posts. We're so thrilled to be part of a local fashion show, the Fall for Fashion for Family Lives On Foundation, a wonderful charity in our area. So if you are in the area, please come to the show next Thursday at 6 p.m. We will be streaming it. Finally, our streamer spotlight from the week comes from the PTZOptics user group. This is Joe Willman, who shared one of the coolest overhead shots I've ever seen with our cameras.
Yeah, let's take a look at that in full detail because this was just too cool. This is for, I believe, NCAA volleyball, the Big East tournament, and that is a PTZOptics camera installed with NDI control, and look at that, 70 feet up in the sky. Kevin saying, shout out to your team while streaming to pay good attention in the chat, where other streamers stream live but don't pay attention to the chat. Good job, Tess. From
Thanks.
Kevin Schmuel. Thank you, Joe Willman,
it's a group effort,
for sharing this awesome video clip in our PTZOptics user group. You guys can join at facebook.com/group/PTZOptics. Pals, okay. So, thank you so much for being here today, Justin.
Hey, thanks for having me.
So, we wanted to start this conversation off, if someone knows nothing about PTZ camera control and your app, by just explaining where to get the app, what it does, and how to set the cameras up to work with your app.
Okay. Yeah, we set this up. We created it for our church initially. We were looking for a good low-cost alternative for controlling our cameras and for our volunteers. And so we initially built it for iPhone and iPads, and everyone seemed to like it that we were showing it to, so we made it available. And then had a lot of feedback from the community that they really wanted to see an Android version, so we did that this last year. So excited about that as well.
Yeah, let's take a look at this Android version really quickly. Let's pull it up a little bit here. Oh, I see.
I think it's really cool to see that you saw a need within your church. They're lucky to have you there, and you invented something based off that need. That's like a pioneer, man. Kudos to you.
There were selfish motives because most of the time I was controlling it, but it was a lot of fun.
But still.
So we were just showing here, and maybe just quickly for those people who have never seen the app, this is a $50 Android tablet, or maybe it was $75, I can't remember. But incredibly affordable, and this is the Pan Tilt Zoom app from the Amazon store. And you can see here, just of course we're going to go over all this in more detail with Justin here in a moment, but really easy Pan Tilt Zoom joystick. The ability to zoom in and out, lock those, presets. We're going to go over all of this stuff. These are actually different cameras. These are the 13 presets. We'll go over all of that, but I just think it's so cool, Justin, that from an Android, and then I guess Amazon is a little different than the Android Play store. It's its own store for the Kindle touchscreens as well. But sorry, I didn't want to go off track. I just want to make sure everyone can see that.
Happens.
Yeah, that's a good point. So the Android, most of them are going to be in the Play Store, but then if you have a Kindle device, they have their own store there. So we made sure it was available there as well, because I'm using a little 8-inch $39 one from Best Buy. So that was a real affordable way to get started with our volunteers on controlling the cameras. So.
Wow. So let's say you're a church and you've received your PTZOptics camera and you've connected it to the network. The first thing to do would be to set a static IP address for that camera. And then let's just start there, Justin. I can at any time show an overhead shot to walk them through it. Let's just start there. They've got their camera and they've plugged it into their network, and they've used the PTZOptics IP address settings tool, and they've set the camera to a static IP address.
Yeah, so once you have your IP address, you can go into the app. Your tablet just needs to be on the same network, via Wi-Fi most of the time. You can get adapters to plug in hardwired if you need to, but most of the time I just jump on Wi-Fi. If you go into the settings there, most of the time you're going to start with, when you first launch the app, you're not going to have any cameras. So it'll prompt you to get to this page to set up the camera. But the two basic things you need are just a name of the camera and the IP address. The default port for the PTZOptics cameras is there. And then same with the default VISCA address. Those are changeable through the web interface and things for the camera. So if you have had to change it for something, you can manually control those here.
And then I'm not going to do this
So once you
now, but you would type the IP address in right there.
Right, and then once you have those, down below you have the your preset speed. So you've got the speed at which when you recall a preset, how quickly the camera is going to move, both for pan, tilt, and zoom. And then you've got the manual control speeds where it kind of puts a limit. So if you're worried about moving too quickly, you can slow that down on the right hand side there and make sure your top speed's a little slower than what the camera is capable of.
Comment coming in from Facebook from Heath. I use the app every Sunday. I'm able to sit by my wife for worship now and control the camera through the app and control vMix with their app. Love it.
Wow.
Oh, that's really cool.
Somebody else's life easy.
And this functionality I just love, because just so everyone just knows here, this is the speed between preset 1 and preset 2. So if you want to have a nice slow pan between the left side of the stage to the right side of the stage, this is what you would use. And then over here, this is your manual controls. So this is what you're going to have right there, right? So that would be this control right here, right?
Yep. And so that was one of the things that we were shooting for, because originally we were using the web interface to control these. And if you only have a single camera, which is what we had at the first, going between presets was rocket fast. And we were really wanting to be able to slow that way down. And so now when you go between two presets, it'll go at the speed of whatever you set.
So the thing one of the things I like the way you built this is that it seems to be like kind of a two-thumb thing. If you really want to have a lot of control, you've got your your right hand and your right thumb for pan tilt, and then you've got your left hand for zoom and or enabling this focus button as well.
Yeah, so you can control the focus manually if you need, but otherwise disabling that turns on the autofocus. But yeah, that was the intention, is to you can leave it there on the desk on a stand, or you can pick it up and control it. Especially with the phone, that's really nice, having it left and right and be able to control zoom and pan and tilt at the same time. And one of the other things we did around that joystick is the ring around the edge. Aside from lighting up pretty when you move it, you can tap on any direction. When you're really trying to line up a shot perfectly to save a preset, you can bump the edge of those rings and the camera will move a tiny bit in each direction. So
yeah, you can really see that pronounced when it's fully zoomed in. So now it's fully
that's where it's
in.
really hard, when you're way zoomed in and you're trying to just move the joystick. That does very, very tiny movements. But and then the other thing that was a user requested feature was the you get that on a Z cam?
No, it's our ceiling cam, but it looks a little funny because it's
you have it
shooting
turned
downward.
all the way, Paul.
So it's because it's shooting downward, these sideways shots are looking a little funny.
Oh, okay. But we did find out the other day that this app also works on the Z cam, so obviously just for
really?
Zoom, but
Very cool. Mark
But
from Facebook. Oh,
another,
sorry. Go ahead.
no, go ahead.
No, you finish. Finish your thought.
Well, all right. The other feature that we added recently was a user suggested one, and I thought it was great. So when you're trying to follow someone manually with the control left and right, especially if you have a speaker that's pacing a lot, and sometimes, especially if you're using a smaller device, you can accidentally go up or down when all you want to do is go left and right. And so up in the top right corner there by the joystick, you can toggle the little
let's show that really
axis lock
quickly.
there, and it'll lock it to the horizontal axis. That way you can move left and right without fear of accidentally going up and down, especially when you're trying to do it without looking. So
I think you had the
oh,
camera
I
all
see.
the
So
way to one side, Paul, which is why when you were
Oh,
tapping left, it couldn't go any
it
further.
is. It's all the way because it's on the ceiling.
Because we've got it's mounted a little bit weird. That's why it wasn't moving, because I was like, what is going on? I was saying Mark on the Facebook chat brought up an interesting use, which we frequently recommend this app for. Simsbury Community TV uses volunteers to use the iPad application alongside vMix to set and use presets with three cameras. It's great. The volunteer application seems to be a great option with these apps.
Mm-hmm.
Just because it's kind
yeah,
of
you
easier to
can.
learn, user-friendly.
Right. Right. And one of the things that we added recently was, so we increased the number of cameras that you can connect from 4 to 8. Now you
Nice.
can connect up to 8 cameras. And then we increased the presets from, it was 10 before, now it's 13. But if you need to add more for a single camera, there's nothing that'll stop you from setting up the same camera in 2 positions. So you could set your first camera button to be the same camera as the second camera button, and then just have more presets. And it'll quickly switch between them if you need. But for us, most of the time, 13 has covered it, but sometimes we get greedy.
You're there.
Yeah, and I love the way that you can easily name these presets so that if a volunteer does walk in and they're not sure what preset 1 or preset 2 is, they have clearly labeled names. The other thing that, speaking of volunteers, is that, iPads are expensive these days. The prices never seem to be going down on Apple products. Yet the Amazon tablets, I couldn't believe you said yours was only $40?
Yeah, the 8-inch one's only $40. So
Wow.
Mm.
So it just makes it so easy to, for $40 tablet, a $10 app, and for $50 you now have a dedicated device that's completely wireless, it's touchscreen, and no one has to rely on, Joe coming in with his specific iPhone. We've got a dedicated device for the room.
yeah, and I've really enjoyed interacting with the users, seeing how they're using it, and a lot of comments about how they love how smooth it is to control. So that's been cool to hear. We're working on some more features that users have suggested, like the ability to export presets, so that if you have multiple devices you're using, you don't have to set them up manually for each device. Storing a picture behind the preset instead of the text, so you can at a glance see what it's supposed to be, things of that nature.
Henry on Twitch says, can you explain a little bit more what is possible with the presets? Imagine, could you change the speed of each preset?
That is a commonly requested feature. Right now, it's set there. Every preset's the same, but we have had a number of that request is in our backlog, but it's high up there because. So we're playing with different ways to do that. Would you have to change the preset of just going, to going to number 1 is really slow and going to number 2 is really fast, or would you do multiple presets? Every time you're going from 1 to 2, it's one speed, and 1 to 3 is another. So we're still trying to figure all that out, but right now it's one speed between the different presets.
Here's a question then. You mentioned that there's nothing stopping you from having multiple cameras or the same camera set up with, like say if you have 8 camera slots here, but you could have the same IP address, the same camera in 1 and 2. So you could have
Right.
fast presets and slow presets in each one, correct?
Yeah, you could.
So that is one way of doing that. So if you have, and to be honest, most people have 1 to 4 cameras as opposed to someone having 8. That would be more rare. So with this app, you could have all of your slow preset cameras on the left and all of your fast preset cameras on the right. If you had 4 or 8 or 2 to 4 cameras there, and then you could reserve, you know, if you're following me
That's a
there.
good idea. Yeah.
Because generally, that would probably be even an easier way than having every single preset with a different speed. From an operational standpoint.
That should work really well, actually.
Edward's asking which models of PTZOptics cameras does this work on? All of them.
Yes.
Including the Z-Cam, which I didn't realize.
Yeah, of course that would just be Zoom.
And that we found out in the user community too. Someone asked a question. I go hold of them and send them a free copy of the app so they could try it out. And sure enough, it worked. So that was pretty cool.
Well, I'm glad that you did that. Very cool. So yes, any of the PTZOptics cameras, PTZOptics exclusive, excuse me.
And then SCS Web TV is saying, I'm assuming this is operating on a Wi-Fi access point or router dedicated to camera LAN. I'll let you answer.
It wouldn't have to be. It wouldn't have to be if your camera's on your main network and then joining wireless to your main network would work fine. A lot of times when I'm at remote events, I bring a little Wi-Fi router so that I can set up my own little mini setup and not have to worry about other people being on the same network with my cameras. But either way is optional. So I also bring in case there's. Go ahead.
I'm glad you mentioned that because it's something that I've been live streaming for 3 years now, and bringing just a little Wi-Fi router that's $29 or $50 is now like an essential thing that I always bring. But I think it might, for a lot of people who are doing streams mobily and packing all their gear and bringing it, that's one of the things I think a lot of people forget is to just bring a wireless access point along with them so that they can use this app with the cameras.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, every year we go down to Tucson, Arizona for an event called Harmony in the Desert, and it's a 3-night singing event, and so we try to bring 3 cameras down, and that's been a key part of our setup now is those little wireless routers. So
just
and then I usually bring a little USB to network adapter as a backup plan in case there's issues with the wireless. I can connect my iPad or tablet directly into that wired network.
Oh, interesting. Yeah, because I was going to take a step back and just let everyone know. So each camera has a network port. Each camera is plugged into a network switch, and then the network switch, one of those ports on the network switch will be plugged into a wireless access point. Generally, those wireless access points can have DHCP on or off, meaning it can issue IP addresses to all of the cameras, and the only thing you have to remember is that all the cameras need to be on the same IP range. And so when your wireless access point is giving out DHCP IP addresses, one of those IP addresses is actually given to your mobile device. So you do need to make sure that the cameras are on the same IP range.
Yep, for sure. And this last year, that Harmony in the Desert event was the easiest ever because we took a power over Ethernet switch, and so one cable to go to our cameras for power and for network, and it was great.
I know that really is the when you can get to that point, and I hope that many of our viewers and people out there who are setting up live streaming systems can get to the point where you can bring a single power over Ethernet switch, powers the cameras, controls the cameras, provides video from the cameras, and then a Wi-Fi access point and your smartphone, and then a computer to do the streaming, and you've really got something special there. Jonathan is asking, what is the time delay in milliseconds for the control?
For the control, it's going to depend on your network, but it's a TCP connection, so it is looking for verifying a response. It's usually about 200 milliseconds or less. It's usually pretty responsive. So
yeah, I'd say it's less than 200 milliseconds from what I've seen, but it is probably the most responsive way to control your PTZOptics camera, surprisingly, because it is going through Wi-Fi, but it really is one of the fastest ways that you can control your camera. That's all the time we have today, folks. So we are going to switch to Twitch. If there's any
do have a
last
giveaway.
questions, and we're going to do the giveaway before we leave this room.
Okay.
I think that'd be easiest.
Yeah.
I'm going to pull a giveaway winner and announce the giveaway winner. If you have any last questions, ask them in the chat. I think Justin will hang out for just a little bit more, but that's our 20-minute show. Thank you so much for watching. I hope this has been informative for you guys, and don't forget to pick up your copy of Pan Tilt Zoom. Is it pantiltzoom.cam? Is that what the website is?
Yes.
pantiltzoom.cam. That's a clever URL. So check that out. You can also find a link to it from the PTZOptics website. And
thank you for joining us.
Thank you so much, Justin.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
Bye, everybody. I'm going to pull a winner.
That means that extra.